The rebellion faced immeasurable problems during its war with the Empire. A key one was the lack of soldiers. However, a regime that came earlier, the Separatist Alliance, had limitless amounts of droids ready to fight for them. So, what would have happened if the rebellion got their hands on a droid army of its own? Now, for this theory, we're going to be saying that at the end of the Clone Wars, some separatist holdouts scurried away to wild space with a ton of resources, including droid foundry materials, and they are not detected by the Empire as it expands. Now, a few years before the Battle of Yavin, as the rebellion really begins to take shape, these separatists see an opportunity and secretly make contact with Mon Mothma in exchange for immunity for the crimes committed against the Republic in the Clone Wars. They also want a place in the New Republic following the Empire's defeat. And in exchange, they will give their resources to Mothma's rebellion. This actually makes a lot of sense. Mon Mothma, even during the Clone Wars, was not pro-war. She was someone who urged peace with the Separatists. For this reason, Separatist remnants would likely see her as somebody who they could negotiate with. Now, you may be thinking, well, if the Separatists already have the resources to build the droids, why not just attack the Empire themselves? And this would be a terrible mistake. The Separatist alliance was still hated, and it would only strengthen Palpatine's position and his empires if the Separatists were to return. Now, the Separatists are going to set up foundries on uncharted worlds in wild space and begin construction of a new army. This is not going to be like the one the CIS used with primarily B-1 battle droids. It's important that the rebels do not fall into the same traps as what the Separatists did, using huge numbers of cold calculating droids that will be very quick to butcher civilians and ruin cities. So we're going to be saying the Separatist Rebel Alliance makes around 100,000 droids that are somewhat near commando droid status. These are far smarter and more advanced. So what happens? Now, the Alliance does still have fleets of ships, largely from Mon Cala, and they're going to begin attacking the Empire, firstly by liberating subjugated worlds. These are planets such as Kashyyyk or Kessel, with huge slave populations. These are going to be hit-and-run attacks, where they attack, free the slaves, bring them with them, and then leave, destroying all Imperial assets. All before the Imperials find out and send reinforcements. This would have been impossible for the Alliance in our timeline due to their limited numbers. This meant that they would never be able to take down Imperial defences before reinforcements showed up. However, with their huge droid army, now they can. They have overwhelming force, a quick attack, and then they can leave, before Imperial reinforcements come. We should also note that it's very important that the Alliance does not solely rely on droids. Droids, in general, were still very much disliked due to the stereotypes founded in the Clone Wars and Imperial propaganda. It's important that squads of droids are commanded by a sentient being. The rebellion, after all, needs a living face. If the rebellion only used droids, then people will just see it as another separatist alliance, and it could potentially strengthen Sidious. Following the string of liberations, the rebellion will be amassing a huge amount of potential recruits, eager to strike at the Empire. So, the rebellion is going to be growing so much quicker with actual non-droid fighters as well. It is important to note though, the real threat at this point is the Imperial Navy, as if the rebellion gets caught in an ambush by the Navy, it could be catastrophic. This is another reason why they need a large human input. They need to be infiltrating and spying, particularly on the Navy and the ISB, to ensure they remain one step ahead. At the end of the day, all those droids are going to be useless if 20 Star Destroyers begin to attack their transports. From here, the Alliance is going to start striking out at Imperial resource worlds, places such as Lothal or Jeddah, and numerous others. The idea is to damage the Empire, starving them of resources. It's importantly to remember that the Empire was constantly building, it constantly needed more weapons, more ships, in order to sustain its massive self, and once you cut off the flow of these resources, it'll be exposed. The key thing for the rebels at this point is to keep moving. If they say become trapped on a world during an offensive, the Empire will just throw resources at them until they are defeated, regardless of how outmatched they are. The rebellion will continue hitting the Empire's precious industrial resources, maybe even trying to attack shipyards, etc., to fully prevent their ability to resupply and fix their vessels. Again, the Navy is still the biggest threat. Now, Palpatine at this point is pretty screwed. This late into his reign, nearly all resources are being thrown into the Death Star project, and with the rebels' disturbance, they will be very behind schedule. He will be forced to bring it closer into the core to avoid an attack by the rebels. Eventually, it's going to become impossible for him to hide the not completed Death Star, and either the Senate or the rebels will find it and leak the information to the public. Once word of the Death Star leaks before its completion, the Empire will now face a full-on uprising. The illusion of protection and safety is pulled away to expose the outright tyranny that has existed for almost 2 decades. The thing about the Death Star is you really can't rationalize its existence. It was very, very clear to the people of the galaxy that it existed to exterminate them, and not just the people who were guilty, but anybody who could possibly also be associated. For this reason, riots on Imperial worlds will follow, and the rebellion will continue to grow stronger and stronger with new recruits. Even some Imperial soldiers and commanders may feel obligated to turn coat once it is revealed. If the people have turned against the government, then some commanders, possibly someone such as Yularin, who knew about the Death Star, may feel obligated to follow the will of the people. Ultimately, this will culminate in the fall of Coruscant. With the aid of the population and their droid army, they will take the world, and Palpatine will either be forced into exile, arrested, or killed. Realistically, it's my opinion that if a force such as the Rebels gained a huge competent army, then the Empire would be in incredible danger from it. The Empire was mostly successful because nothing could strike out at it effectively. There was no sizable military out there. But what do you guys think? What would happen, and could this work? Could a droid army be the spark to light a fire of rebellion far larger than in our own timeline? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. I really do hope that you enjoyed this video. If so, please remember to like, share, and sub, as it's really appreciated and it helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at @TheLawGuy and tick the bell for regular updates. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.